think this is my first time ever sharing me actually at the market and setting up because I feel like I've always been too shy to film in a public space, but you know, what the heck. This year is going to be about not being afraid to put yourself out there. And I feel like I always preach to everyone that you just have to go for it, but yet here I am still afraid to film myself in public. I always feel like people are judging, and I get in my head of people having negative thoughts of other people making content, especially when you're not surrounded by people doing the same thing. Like when I go to certain events where there's influencers or content creators, I'm not shy to have my camera out, but when I'm at events that are more focused on selling and not really making content, that's when I get a little bit more introverted. But, you know, at the end of the day, they're not going to go to their friends and family and talk about you and you filming yourself setting up. The only time I'm still kind of afraid of filming really is when I'm actually just interacting with customers, because I never want to make people feel uncomfortable with the camera around. But at the same time, I would never face the camera to them unless they wanted to be in the shot. But baby steps. Maybe next time I'll have more shots of me actually at the market interacting with customers. But anyways, this market is at a library that I grew up in. I remember coming as a kid and borrowing books and playing on their computers, and then in my teens hanging out with my friends. I know that sounds really geeky, but I lived in a really small town and there was not much to do. But vending at this market just feels like a full circle moment of being here as an adult now. My second market of the year of January, and honestly, like, I think I've said this in my other vlogs, but I wasn't expecting to do anything, to be honest, in January. That I was gonna focus on just relaxing and resting after a busy holiday season and just like making art. Like, I haven't even had time to like clean my room. I built like a shelf in my closet so that I can organize myself a little bit better, and so that my room is organized and therefore I'm organized. But there were two markets that I just didn't want to say no to. It was like such a good opportunity. It was close by, so I really wanted to do it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna push my relaxation period a little bit more. So now that it is the middle of January, I am officially done with market season, and the next market season will start in March. So I have like a month and a half of just kind of doing my own thing, being more present on YouTube. I know I have been missing the last couple weeks only because of all these markets and prepping for it, and New Year's and Lunar New Year, and like just doing all these things. So I'm glad to be back. I mentioned in my other videos of like, I haven't even had time to like sit down and write down my goals, my dreams, my aspirations for the year, and I feel like behind. At the same time, if I think about it, like sometimes I just rewrite my goals in the middle of the year. So I think it's fine that it's like mid-January now and I'm just starting to write my 2025 goals. As always, now that I'm done with that market, I wanted to give you kind of like a recap, as always, of how it went. So this was a very specific market for Lunar New Year. A couple of weeks before the actual Lunar New Year date starting point, but I feel like this whole month, like I've been seeing so many markets and events, but I chose this one specifically because it was close by. It's again in my hometown, so I really wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be like more involved in my community, so I thought this was a great way to get my foot in the door. But so for this market, it is more catered to, I think, more kids, to be honest. So a lot of kids and parents came. There were a bunch of performances, lion dances. I think there were maybe like about 10 or so other vendors, but it ranged from like stationery items like myself, food, bubble tea, clay, a bunch of artists, things of that sort. So there was a good variety, a good mix of different vendors, and it was a good one. It was definitely crowded because of, again, it's a Lunar New Year event. It's involving so many kids from like different ages. So there was little kids in elementary school, but then there were a lot of like Asian clubs from like middle school, high school, and they were all like invited from the town. And so there were just a lot of people, and it's also like kind of like in a public space, so there were a lot of just people walking around to check out what's going on. And just as with last week's market, I feel like my overall goal was to just really network with people and be more involved in my community. And so I was able to meet a lot of vendors in the area, and specifically with this one, it's more like API centric, so it was doubly amazing to, you know, just meet people who kind of are in my own bubble, and we're all probably gonna go to the same event. For example, like my table neighbor, I met her a year ago at a AAPI event that's up north in Jersey, and I usually don't go up there, but I did for this specific event because it was like one of my first AAPI events, and I noticed that she was also coming to this event, so I was so excited to have like a familiar face. So it was really nice to just like recognize people for one, and to know that like you'll probably see them again, and everyone's just so nice and everyone wants to help out one another. And another thing about this event was like, one, there was no vendor fee, and then two, this is the first like event where the organizers like ordered us food, like a actual meal that came in a box and everything, and I've never had that experience before. And this was only like a 4 or 5 hour event from unpacking to packing up. So I honestly didn't expect to get anything outside of just maybe like a water bottle, because this wasn't even like a super long day, but I am definitely appreciative of like organizers who are so kind to their vendors. Again, because it's like there's no fee, like I didn't expect anything, so I'm so grateful for the organizers here. I was also so excited that it's like in my hometown, it's my own community, I grew up here, so I'm so happy to like be kind of a part of it now. Is going back to the vendors, I feel like I always try to walk around a little bit, and I always end up finding like one thing that I love, if not multiple things. But for this market, besides the bubble tea, one thing that I really loved was this artist that I met, and ironically hers is called Doodles by Karen, whereas mine is just called Doodles by Indy. And she also draws, but she's really known for like doing live drawings, live, I think, watercoloring. And so she's just able to like draw portraits of you, your dog, or your family. But I got one of her prints that she did. I didn't have time to do like a custom print of myself or my husband or my dog, So I got this one. It's like a Chinatown print, and I thought this was amazing because I feel like when I was in college, I like lived here. Not like literally, but I came here for food all the time, so I'm excited. I'm gonna put it up on my wall. I've been wanting to like just fill up my space behind my computer with like a bunch of prints and artwork from other artists. In terms of the items that were doing the best, it was mostly my stickers. I feel like a lot of kids gravitated towards the stickers. They did the bundle deals, and then the teenagers and adults, they were buying more of the pins and the keychains. I didn't sell that many like greeting cards. I feel like most of my greeting cards are like birthdays or romantic ones, so it wasn't really like Lunar New Year centric. And I feel like for next year maybe I'll do something regarding like New Year's, or maybe I'll think about doing red envelopes for these type of events. But I'm glad that I got a good mix of like stickers, keychains, and pins being sold. And in terms of sales, another good one for the month, I did better than the one that I did last weekend, which was already like so good to me. So I was pretty pleased with how I did. So I put like an unofficial like monetary goal for myself for the next 2 months, and these two markets were able to kind of cover those 2 months, which is great because I feel like there's less pressure on me for in next month, especially given that I'm not going to be doing any markets and it's going to be my rest month. So I feel like I deserve this rest, not that I didn't already, but monetarily I'm glad that it covered both months. Now that we are done with markets for the month and a half, I'm gonna finally clean my room and reset up my studio so that it is a little bit more presentable, especially because I usually love to have my background in my studio. So I think that's what I'm gonna be doing right now.